Hello, welcome. Welcome to the 2020 NYU Game Center Incubator Showcase. Thank you for being here. Thanks for joining us. I will start by saying that this almost didn't happen. This was, the moment in which the incubator applications were opening is right when everything else was closing down. And for a couple moments, I thought, I don't know if this is the right time. I don't know if we can do this. I don't know if we should. And then I got some encouragement from people here at the Game Center, and we said, all right, we'll figure it out. This is what we do when things are tough. We figure it out. So what happened is the same thing that happens every year, and this is the same thing that I say every year, is that we all came together. This show is about us. This is the result of you all being here. This is the result of the developers making these games. This is the result of the advisors giving their time. This is the result of people on forums helping people solve code problems. And this is a collective effort that has brought us together. And even you here in the audience, I assume you're out there, you have brought us together. Your excitement about these games is the reason that we're here and that we're excited to share these things with you. So thank you for bringing us together and for showing us once again that we're able to do this. I will say that there are a few us's that I want to thank specifically that are especially important to us. So first are the developers. So Mary and Yushin and Rachel and Rooney and Chenwei and Theo and Sarah and Uti and Julia, these are all the developers that you're about to meet. And thank you all for the tremendous amount of work that you put into these games, and the emails and the Slacks and the time and just the effort that you put in. Folks out there, this is the same thing. This is a lot of work that you can't see, especially in this year where they weren't together in person. There was absolutely a community. There's absolutely a presence and a group of people that came together. And that is so much the credit to the good people that were part of this incubator, those developers. So thank you to the developers for making this happen. Next, I want to thank our event sponsors. So these are actually the event sponsors from last year. So this is Fresh Planet and Take Two and Dots and New York State. All these organizations, they provide the financial funding for the incubator. So yes, it's great that we're all here, but we couldn't be here without the help of these organizations. So I want to say thank you to them for making our events possible. If you happen to be from an organization that would like to also help make these events happen, we're about to begin our event sponsorship for the next year, and there are opportunities to do that. So if you want to see your name in lights, get in touch with me. But primarily, thank you to the ones that brought us here. Those are the 4 companies that did that. There's another organization that I want to thank this year that provided a tremendous amount of effort, of effort and money, but this is the Bigglesworth Family Foundation. So this organization, they got in touch with us and they basically said, how can we help? What can we do? And so what we responded to them was this long time challenge we had, which is we know that entrepreneurship is risky. We know that going into the incubator is risky. And it's especially risky if you don't have the safety net, if your game doesn't work out, if you don't have a way to continue working on the game. And as a result of that, that perpetuates a cycle where the people who are in a position to take the risks, they can benefit from the rewards of starting their own company or of owning their own IP. But many other people are not able to do that. And so with the help of the Bigglesworth Family Foundation, we're able to provide $25,000 of follow-on funding that's going to go to 2 of the teams, and they're going to talk about that a little bit in their presentations. And the whole idea here is that they can continue to work on the games after the incubator, and that is 100% the result of the Bigglesworth Family Foundation asking us how they could support us. So I want to thank you to them for being here. And next, I want to talk about some of the administrators that made this happen. So Tony Pizza and Logan Clare, Gwenna Forgam Thrift, Jessica Lamb, Hermione Bryce, these are all people that work at the Game Center, and they did all the things behind the scenes, like making sure the developers got paid, running the stream, contacting advisors, all of those little tiny things that all add up to make an incubator. They are the people that made that happen. And without them, we would not be here. So thank you so much to them for the work that they put into this. The last group I want to thank has actually been sort of here the whole time, hiding behind me in the Zoom. That's the advisors. And so these people, both the EPs, which are a group of advisors that are attached to a team who you'll hear from, they're going to interview each of these teams, and the wider advisory board. These are folks that they provided workshops, they were on Slacks, they answered questions about contracts, they gave visual feedback, they reviewed milestones. These people are the ones that allowed these games to blossom into these amazing things that you're going to see tonight. So the advisory board is a group of people. It's a volunteer organization. Many of them, almost all of them, are returning people that keep coming back and keep supporting this. And so that these games that you're about to see and hopefully that in the future you're going to enjoy, they are definitely the results of the developers' work, yes. The event sponsors, yes. The Bigglesworth Family Foundation, yes. But the advisory board is a tremendous part of this. So I want to bring out the advisory board just to prove to you that this is not just this is an illusion. These are all the people that are here. Here they are. Some of them, at least. There are many others that are not on the stream, either can't fit or can't be here. There's about 100 people that are all part of this thing, and there's about 30 that really give a lot of time into that. So thank you to all those people in all the different ways that they're showing up on the screen, and to the developers. Some of them you'll see are there. You're going to see them again in a couple minutes. So thank you to all those people for making this incubator possible. With that, here's the plan for the evening. I'm gonna fade away, and then what you're gonna see is each of the teams are gonna present their games. You're gonna see a video. You're gonna see a presentation about a little bit of what they did over the summer. Then their EPs are gonna interview them, ask them a couple questions about what they did and what the process was like, and then we'll repeat that process 4 times. So you hear from each of these games, and then at the end we'll just come back to say goodbye and thank you for being here. So. This whole thing is kind of stitched together with Zoom rooms. I probably shouldn't say that, but it just feels like magic to you. But for us, it feels crazy. So just bear with us. It'll take a couple of minutes while we reconfigure the background, and then the next thing you know, you're going to meet the Swordswallower team, and you're going to hear from them. And Rebecca and Adam Saltzman are their EPs. They're going to talk with them, and then we'll go from there. So thank you for being here. Thanks for making the incubator possible. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Okay, hi, I'm Julia.
And I'm Uti, and we are presenting our game, Swordswallower. Swordswallower is an action Metroidvania where you play as a girl who drags around a gigantic 10-foot sword. Unlike other platformers and Metroidvanias, you cannot jump, so to get around, you hurl your sword into the walls and pull yourself toward it with deadly speed. Every enemy design and platforming challenge is based around the core mechanic of the sword. Players left-click to throw the sword, and once thrown, they can either pull it back to them or dash towards it. The conceptual idea behind this interaction is to synthesize movement and combat so that the player is forced to constantly zip and dash around the screen.
You play as a sculptor who's been kept prisoner in a tower for most of her life, forced to make statues of her captor. At the beginning of the game, she's mysteriously trapped inside of the body of one of her statues, and using her new body, she escapes the tower and sets off to seek revenge on both the stranger who did this to her and the evil queen who kept her prisoner in the first place. Uti and I are both obsessed with scary, surreal art, and we spend a lot of time on world building and mood boarding. We want the world to be detailed and compelling, and the characters and environment to tell our story. Vexinski is one of our biggest inspirations. Ominous dreamscapes speak to the surreal horror thriller vibe that we're going for.
Over the course of the Incubator, we've done a ton of iteration, and one of the biggest challenges has been designing the main character. How do you make a gray statue character interesting? How do you make a protagonist who's so tiny on the screen feel like someone who you want to control? And how do you do all that without taking focus away from the sword? During Incubator, we found a solution to this problem: movement. Now she somersaults through the air, reaches out her arm to grab and throw the sword, and glows when the player uses the sword. We did all this with code rather than animating every frame by hand, so she has theoretically infinite frames of animation. Her design now reflects the violent and kinetic pace of the gameplay, and more importantly, she just feels super fun to control.
For the full game, we're aiming for 8 to 10 solid hours of gameplay with plenty of optional side content. While Swordswallower is first and foremost an action game, there will be a wealth of characters, side plots, and lore beneath the surface for players to discover, in addition to many new upgrades and abilities.
In the next few months, we're hoping to partner with a publisher who can support us to develop the game full-time for the next 2 years. We're aiming to release in early 2022, but we'll be posting updates on our Twitter and organizing playtests for people who want to follow our development. Now we're going to bring out our amazing executive producers, Adam and Becca Saltzman from Finji, to talk more about the game. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello, hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Good. Good. Very busy, but we're good.
Oh wait, it canceled my thing. Hang on. All right. I was gonna, so
I'm assuming we've been introduced.
have we?
I don't know.
Hi, I'm Adam.
I'm Becca.
We got to be EPs for Swordswallower this summer. And I was kind of excited to be on the stream tonight because the Incubator is like pretty fast paced. Everybody's got a lot of stuff to do during the summer. And I had some questions about the project that I just didn't get to ask because I think we wanted to make sure that all of our, real meeting times and everything during the project or during the Incubator proper were like as focused as possible and maximum amount of information per second delivery that we could get away with. So the main question that I wanted to ask, and I think you probably like touched on a little bit in your presentation, but it's sort of like, where did the idea for Swordswallower come from? Like, and how did the game itself start? And like, what is the thing that made you go like, yeah, I want to spend like a lot of my time and energy on this? Which, like, and to be clear, like, I'm glad that you are spending a lot of time and energy on this. I think it's turning out really cool. But I'm curious, like, what was the thing where you were like, oh yeah, this thing, this is the one.
Well, when I originally made the first prototype for the game in mid 2018, so it's been like 2 years since I first did the first one. And originally, the idea was sort of to make. I was sort of like I guess tired of like Metroidvanias, like the genre in general. I felt kind of like exhausted of them, and I felt like I hadn't liked a lot of the ones that had come out. So I was trying to make one that was, I guess, that was more experimental and weirder. So I was making like it was actually Nudity to begin with, not Game Maker. So I built out this like pretty big like ability system, one of which was a tail that you could like throw and then grapple to and then pull the tail back. And I remember out of all of the abilities that I came up with, I was like, that one like sounds pretty cool. And then in the next semester, I took Action Game Studio with Gabe Cazzello, who made Ape Out. And in that class, I basically decided to scrap all of the other stuff and just do the tail, which turned into a sword like pretty quickly. At that point, I kind of realized that it was sort of kind of like, I don't know, like almost like cynical to make a game that was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a game about games that I don't like. You know, it was sort of, I kind of realized that the thing that I should be making is just making something that's fun and like that I enjoy playing. And I realized that the sword was like an interesting and fun thing, and that's really what keeps me going. It's like is that I never run out of ideas for things that the sword can be interacted with.
Yeah. Cool.
I'm actually super familiar with that way of designing. Kind of, Adam calls it spite design in a lot of ways, where you like see something you don't like, you're like, how can I make this fun, but fun for me?
Yeah,
I know
it's a very specific kind of a few games that we made that way. It's such a weird specific feeling, because like it feels very like conceited almost sometimes. It feels like, oh, all of this genre, I mean, these are no good. I could make a fun one. But it keeps happening. Like that keeps being a thing that people do, and that happens in design. So I think it's real. I think it's good to listen to that voice. I think I was also curious about something that hasn't, I know that you haven't been able to work on as much as you wanted for like the current demo and getting ready to pitch and everything, is music and sound.
Yeah, the music probably, well, this is going to sound sad given what you just said, but the music is probably my favorite thing to work on in the game. I could probably lose like days to it if I could. But it's been it's kind of a struggle, because the kind of style that I'm going for it's kind of a live style. It's inspired by a lot of bands who would like play in a room all together, and like you can feel the energy, you can just hear. So I'm sort of right now trying to like get there like by myself, which I think when I have more time to like record live with like better equipment and stuff, it'll be better. But yeah, for now I'm I don't know, I'm kind of waiting, and I'm hoping that I can get some really like good time to focus on it soon.
Cool.
I think we just have time for one more question.
Yeah,
we just have a few minutes left.
Other thing I was curious about is something that it didn't end up coming up. I think a lot of our incubator work this summer was very, I think, sensibly business focused.
Yeah.
But
design and business.
Yeah. Other thing I was curious about was sort of story stuff. Narrative design, and sort of like what kind of like where you want to go, I guess.
Yeah. So for the story, we do have this like overarching kind of story that we've been thinking a lot about like this evil queen and her kingdom. But I think what we're focusing a lot on right now is how we can have all these intricate kinds of like side areas and little connecting pieces, and like just focus on making really interesting kinds of side characters and side plots that kind of tell our story even more than just like this overarching thing that's happening. Because I think like that's what's kind of like interesting and in a way kind of like unique about our game, is that there's so many like little things happening. So that's like something that's really important to us. Yeah.
Cool. So more, not just the like whatever the central plot is, but like sort of fleshing out this is something we have talked about before, like the world in which the plot takes place and the world in which all the characters are situated. And that seems like that would speak to that a lot. That's cool.
Yeah, we definitely still want it to like be present for people who are like really interested in it and stuff. But like Julia said, like most of the things should be like what the player like chooses to follow in.
Yeah. Cool. And then I was curious, I don't know if there's I guess last quick lightning question would be like other areas, things that you're excited to make after the incubator, if you feel comfortable talking about them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we do have like a lot of different ideas that we're super excited. We're so excited to keep working on Swordswallower. Like just some of the areas we have, like part of our idea is that like in these different areas, we're working on all these different cool mechanics that like the sword. We'll get. Do you want to talk more? I guess.
Yeah. So like probably the one that there's probably two that I think we're the most excited about. The first one is like a sky city area where you throw the sword, and once like halfway in the level, you like turn this like magic like storm summoner thing, and the storm starts. And whenever the sword is outside, it like gets struck by lightning immediately. As soon as you like hit a wall with it. So it becomes this thing where like you have to dodge it, but also like work with it, and you can like just like obliterate stuff. And because you're in the sky city, like everything is like shaking because it's supposed to be super like held together by like rope basically. And then the one that we're the most excited about like thematically is definitely the bathhouse area, which is like definitely like I think we need to think of more ideas that are like thematically like we like as much. But the bathhouse is like pretty much aesthetically what we're going for. Like there's no water, there's just like blood, and there's just like naked people, and it's like we're really excited about that.
Yeah. Lots of concept art.
Yeah, she's done amazing concept art. It's really good.
Awesome. I think that's it for us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much,
guys.
Thank
you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay. And
Okay.
so okay. So before we go, thank you so much to everybody who helped us make Swordswallower, Gabe, Dylan, Adam, and Becca, the other Incubator teams, and everyone who playtested. You can play our newest version now on itch. Follow us on Twitter for updates, and thank you so much. And then coming up next are our friends Sarah and Theo from Guitarist Queen, who are making an incredible game called Skin. So hold on a second for their trailer.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Right, hello everybody. My name's Theo. I'd like to tell you about a game my wife and I are working on called Skin. Skin is a divination hunting game about destroying monsters and being monstrous. You are a shape-shifting hunter in a nightmare forest, cursed by the new gods, and you must divine your way through the dark, kill your way through corrupted enemies, and restore the old balance of power in these woods. A dark tale unfolds about ancient voices hiding beneath the earth, their bloodthirst for the lawless new gods who have displaced them, and a horrible secret surrounding your family. Skin is being developed by a two-person team, my wife Sarah, who's in charge of art, programming, and design, and myself, who handles business and production. And Sarah's been dreaming up this vivid, visceral, haunting world for a few years now. And in the last several months, we've worked together for the writing, the level planning, the tuning, drawing on our love of Greek mythology and dark mysteries. For the combat of Skin, we wanted to combine the feeling of stalking prey in a moonlit forest with moments of fast-paced brutality. We wanted to move through the grass like a predator, sneak up on monsters and take aim from afar, but we also wanted the challenge of timing your attacks, dodging enemies, and sprinting up to your prey to deal a killing blow. Finding our solution to this problem, the gap between stealth combat and melee combat, was a fun challenge that we worked on this summer during the Incubator program. Our solution is a blend of bow combat and ritual magic. After shooting and stunning an enemy, you must run up and rend the arrow out of their body, casting a final spell that destroys them. The pace of this, running through your forest, dodging and shooting, tearing the arrows from an enemy before they spring back to life to attack you, opened a whole new door for us for level design and for boss battles. As you plunge into the forest, you'll encounter strange and cursed creatures, corrupted animals of the forest, wild gods whose minds and bodies are falling apart, and some furious spirits even older than the gods. Keeping to our rule of intertwining magic with our combat, we've come up with some brutal boss fights that'll require a bit of puzzle solving. You have to shatter the divine protection hanging over these monsters before you can take them down. In the world of Skin, magic is used for more than just combat. You use divination rites and blood rituals to solve puzzles, open hidden doors, unlock new shape-shifting abilities, and reveal the path forward. As you reclaim your forest and hunt monsters, you will drag their bodies to hidden altars and split their organs open in haruspicy magic to appease the old gods. We've loved working on Skin this summer in the Incubator program, learning so much from the advisors and working with the other excellent teams in our cohort, and we're really excited to show you the things we have planned for the game in the coming months. We'd love it if you follow our progress on this, so please visit our website, join our Discord server, sign up for our email newsletter. All of this you can find at katarasqueen.com, and also follow us on Twitter at the Sarah Chimera. And now we're going to bring in our executive producer, Greg Heffernan, also known as Cosmo D, to discuss what we worked on this summer and how Skin has developed throughout the Incubator. Greg.
Hello.
What's up, Greg?
Hey, greetings.
Greetings.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. We appreciate it.
You just lit up the chat with your trailer. There was so much. There was so much love for the vibe of the world to start. Yeah, really strong work this summer. When I first saw the game, I felt like, yeah, there's definitely something here. This has a very strong vibe, and I'm glad that you made it, and I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad that you invited me, or I was given the opportunity to help you kind of push it along. I think the first thing I want to sort of illuminate is this art style. Like, it didn't, to the viewers out there, it didn't come in a vacuum. I mean, it started in a place and then it got to a higher place, I feel like. So could you talk a little bit about that and like what your process was, how you
yeah, sure thing. It was a really nice part of, well, like, one, it was just a great part of having you as an EP, where you were just encouraging me constantly to be like, just push this as hard as you want to in whatever weird direction you want to go. I know we had a screenshot of like some earlier footage of the game before it was in the Incubator, and you were like, do more of this. And so I just kind of took it as permission to just go as wild and as saturated as I possibly could with the color palette, really push like the Greek element of it, the very surrealist part of it, the dark horror-esque elements of it too, and just kind of, it came together in a really cool way. I started with, I know we talked a lot about terrain and how to make like the ground and the earth itself look cool. So I kind of applied a really interesting kind of painterly palette to it that has these very sharp contrasts with these very kind of impressionistic looking swipes on it, which I'm really happy with. And then the other big thing was the Skybox, which is like, I was trying to emulate that like very vibrant pink into blue kind of color palette that I have kind of throughout the game and make sure that the sky reflected it.
Like a dripping sky, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's creepy and peaceful at the same time, which is the vibe I'm
Bleeding
kind of
almost.
going for. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I think we sort of, the general buzzword we were around was like weird Greece or weird Greek mythology. I feel like there were a lot of potential aesthetic choices that you could have made that you steered away from when you deal with like Greek mythology and antiquity and stuff. What were your thoughts there? Like, what were you aiming for, and then what were you making sure you didn't do, or what was your process there?
Well, so with the Greek aesthetic, there's like two major things people associate with like ancient Greek mythology or like any imagery or symbolism from Greek culture. One is like obviously the vaporwave aesthetic with like, you have like a bust of something with like a neon color palette near it. So we were trying to like go more saturated, since obviously the vaporwave is much more about like a pastel-y, vaguely 90s vibe. So that kind of helped us. And then the other big thing we did was like try to avoid using traditional like Greek, I guess, lettering or like font that you see, because people tend to associate that with Greek diners or, other kind of like American Greek culture, which is cool, but that's not the vibe we were necessarily going for. So yeah.
Yeah,
it was fun making it. I want people to see like these stories and these characters in a way that they haven't necessarily seen before, and that was where I feel like the color palette and everything else with the vibrancy of the game kind of really helped.
Yeah, it feels really visceral and it feels really emotional, but it also feels really intentional, and it feels like you really dove deep into that palette, and you really wanted to catch that blue, pink, purple vibe and really play it up. So really strong work there. And the moon that moon glowing, yes. Another thing I wanted to focus on, or I wanted to talk about, was the combat and the hunting. I think when you started in the incubator, it was a bit more broad what you could do, and the broadness is still there, but what we worked on was combat. I mean, I think the feedback we got early on was like, make it really fine tune it, make it feel visceral, make it feel interesting, make it feel like you really are on a hunt. Like, this is about hunting. This is about the goddess Diana. She's trying to chase this deer, and that needs to feel right. So what could you tell me, and what could you tell the viewers about your experience bringing that to life?
Right. It was a lot of time being spent like looking at aero combat and other games, Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, like Tomb Raider games. Those are all really good reference points. But I think the biggest thing that stood out to me is we got a note from Francesco, who was one of the advisors in the incubator, who was like, I want it to feel like a sniper. And we're like, okay, so let's change how our arrows work in that way. Let's think more about like lining up a slow, very like intentional shot with an enemy and feeling like you're stalking them. So that meant basically a total overhaul of every part of the combat that I had. So I reworked our camera system. It's a lot closer, which kind of creates more tension. You can see the player character a little better. You can also see your enemies a lot better, and you're much more aware of sound. The other thing we did is I redid all the animations for the player, like aiming the bow, pulling, and like releasing. I wanted it to feel magical and brutal. I wanted her to feel like a god, obviously, but also to have, again, to make sure that we had our spin on it, so it didn't seem like traditional kind of arrow combat. So another big part of that was the sound effects. So we spent a lot of time trying to figure out what's a good sound for a magical bow. Like, you have the typical kind of twangs and like arrow shot noises that you associate it with. But like, we found really interesting sounds with like creaking and groaning, which again works really well for our vaguely horror aesthetic that we're going for. And then also like kind of magical sounds of like bells or glass bowls, things like that. And like randomizing that pitch every single time you draw makes it feel like you're really lining up something super powerful. And then when you release it, you feel like you're absolutely going to deal like a massive amount of damage. So it was really nice doing that. It was cool.
It's interesting because when I draw the bow, yeah, it feels like I'm playing an instrument of destruction and pain, but I'm also playing the instrument. It's musical. And then you launch it, and the sound and the subtle shifts in tone that you have when you're interacting with the bow while you're on the hunt, again, it elevates the mood, but it also reinforces the gameplay, and it makes it really feel singular. So that was something that was a big focus for the incubator for you, and I'm really happy that you got it to a place where people were into it, super into it. So for everybody watching in the channel, the bow combat in this game is nice. It's good. So yeah, how about the music itself? Like, I think some of the music choices that you made, some of the like sound world vibe, like that's kind of my wheelhouse. So that's something I feel strongly about and something I encourage you to think about. How was that journey for you?
So it was really cool early on. Basically, I was working on like the intro theme for the music. I tried to draw on like traditional Greek instruments, so lyres and lutes and drums and things like that. I incorporated like a kind of weird noise aesthetic to it as well. But my favorite thing was I remember asking you, I'm like, oh, like, do you have any recommendations of like good cello samples that I can use when I'm composing a song? And you're like, I can play the cello. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be the coolest thing ever if Greg would play. Cosmo D would play a cello.
Yeah, what an incredible
Sure.
gift. Cosmo D willing to do some music for our game.
It was
awesome.
so good. So like it was weird. That's something
It's a
that
great
I made,
melody.
like,
You wrote
was
the melody.
something
It was awesome.
It was really good, and you played it so beautifully. So it was an absolute treat to be able to have you kind of play that part.
And then for the rest of the songs that Sarah's been composing, she's really into noise metal right now. So it's been so cool to see her combine the ancient Greek sound that she wants for the setting with noise metal that she wants for the vibe of this game. So it's like, you know, ouds and harps, and then, you know, some screaming and some vocal distortion and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it further gives it its own vibe and its own distinct flavor.
We're at the end of our time, so I have to say that's our time. Thank you so much for everyone for watching. Thank you so much, Greg, for everything this summer. You were incredible. And thank you to Dylan and everybody else.
Thank you to the team. Yeah, everybody. Amazing work this summer all around.
Yeah, next up is the coolest group of people coming to tell you about their game, Nothing to See Here. It's Rachel, Mary, and Yuchin from AiliA Studio.
Nothing to See Here is a storytelling card game that will have you uncontrollably laughing out loud. Use your cards to improvise stories and regain your innocence, if you can. Here's how it works. You all sit. One of you becomes Brooke, the judge. Then the rest of you, the lovers, reveal your compromising situations. Now, try to get yourself out. Things heat up with a quick item grab during which players scramble to grab some salacious yet PG items, adding 2 to their original story and 1 item that they can play on another player to steer attention away from themselves. Players have a final chance to make their case in 1 sentence before Brooke will decide their fate. The game has enough scaffolding to help you come off as a genius storyteller and as a charismatic person. Everyone can tell outlandishly good stories in this game. The humor comes from trying to cover up the details with half-truths that spin wildly out of control. Learn innocently funny things about your friends along the way as you narratively explore your misconceptions of intimate topics together on a hot couch rather than a hot seat. As Eat Melon Studio, we're hoping that this absurdist storytelling card game will find its way to your next get-together as a surefire way to laugh and reconnect with all those that matter most to us. Join the newsletter. Click it. All right, good job. Hi, everyone.
Good job, Rachel.
Yeah, star of the show.
I'm Yushin. I'm designer and producer on Nothing to See Here.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm the designer and head of manufacturing for Nothing to See Here.
And also an incredible actor. I'm Mary. I'm our marketing lead. And together we are the newly formed Eat Melon Studio that is behind Nothing to See Here. So Nothing to See Here is a storytelling card game unlike anything you might have played before. We make some bold, unapologetic choices, and we create an experience that's fast, loose, and replayable. From creating characters that have professions often referenced in pornos and erotica, like a pizza delivery person, to our condom card backs, we are very upfront about sex, intimacy, relationships, without ever having referenced the act itself. Careful considerations went into every element of the game because we wanted it to reflect our values of sex positivity and inclusivity, even though the circumstances are exaggerated only by multiple people being in the space at the same time. We use gender-neutral character names, and our locations and states are reflective of many different types of kinks that are not normally talked about. So with enough ambiguity, honestly, you can sort of create whatever scenario you want in your mind. Nothing to See Here really relies on your implicit biases with a little bit of narrative push from us to create a tension that is relieved only by knowing that everyone at the table isn't innocent and everyone has to explain themselves. What is a truth and what is a lie doesn't really matter. It's more about how you tell the story in the moment and how you catch yourself slipping. Our storyteller or game master, Brooke, is an exceptionally meddlesome character, going in blind, no knowledge, no facts, and yet they have the audacity to question the lover's presence in the house. But our lovers have their professions to fall back on, and so the conversation is alive, and the power dynamic fluctuates. By weaving in tastefully drawn and PG toys, including items that are suggestive, such as a ripped-up shirt, players have enough room to build up a more convincing narrative. In the game, sex toys become everything but what they actually are. And players are basically giving the items new functional value and are normalizing and destigmatizing them through humor. In this way, normal items that either belong to or involve Taylor and a few pervertibles, which are everyday objects that could be sex toys, like an innocent cucumber, are hilariously harder to explain than the actual sex toys. So we... Sorry, waiting on a slide. Yay, okay. We wanted Nothing to See Here to reflect a variety of awkward moments using different relationships where these conversations might happen between partners or between a grandparent who decides to come on a surprise visit. Brooke and Taylor have over time become an abstract representation of a nuclear relationship structure that's butting up against modern ways of living and new social norms. Taylor and ourselves want nothing to do with your assumptions, and by Taylor not being there, the conversations can actually happen. All of these stories are rooted in some grain of reality that maybe most of us haven't had an open conversation about these things since the talk. The side conversations and murmurs of, oh my God, what is this, is where learning indirectly happens, again, with humor. As I mentioned, there isn't necessarily a winning or losing condition, but there is an end to our story. When looking for a way to close the narrative, we landed on a reward system. We honestly tried in vain to summon the Dark Lord of Math to create a points or ranking system for the stories, to use specific fetishes, to create groupings, but it didn't exactly help. It created more strategy than was necessary and took away from the loose momentum of the narrative. In the end, we developed an award card system that wouldn't necessarily influence or force you to have to choose categorizations. And the scapegoat card merely allows one person to close the narrative with Brooke. And guess what? We have a lot of really exciting news and developments, but you won't know unless you sign up for the newsletter and follow us on Twitter. So eventually, please go do that. But for right now, let's talk to Luke. Let's talk to our EP. Yay!
Whoa.
Hello, Luke.
Hey.
Hello. I'm so
Hello,
dark.
Luke.
Hello, team.
Woo!
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Uh,
Wow,
so-
your cat's eye is even brighter than your glasses.
yeah, she's a golden-eyed goblin.
Beautiful.
So any regrets?
I don't think so. I don't think we do we have any regrets?
Beach. We pushed the beach trip to this weekend instead of last weekend.
Oh yeah, that is a regret. We should have gone before.
Yeah, it's not too big of a regret.
We should have gone every weekend.
So you have successfully incubated a game. Right?
Yep.
Yes.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe some fungus.
Did we though?
So during the incubator process, right, what was the most Dylan thing that Dylan said to you all?
Ooh. Interesting.
You can sub in Eric or Frank.
I think about it this way. Dylan always provide 3 more alternatives after already given like the answer of our question. So think about it the other way, or this way maybe.
That's true.
Or a third way.
Or the third way. Bottom up and top down. Side.
You should.
So, do you still are you still in love with your game after the process of incubating?
Yes.
Yes.
It is a little bit tricky to say that. That's why I hesitate. But well, yeah.
I didn't say anything.
All right, but still though, what's like you're still in love with your game. That's good. Maybe Rachel's not. So Rachel, then, what's the worst rule in your game?
Worst rule?
Yeah.
You asked the right person.
That players cannot interrupt each other, and then they can only say one thing at a time. Like everyone should talk all at the same time. Yeah, that make it a lot better. But
yeah.
I guess that's my biggest regret. Yeah.
We should all interrupt each other.
Oh, not be able to interrupt each other.
Yeah, like on Zoom.
Yeah.
It's more realistic.
Great.
All right. So wait, would you make a second edition and change that rule?
No.
Good. Okay, good. Good answer.
No.
What is what's the grossest item card in the game?
I have an answer for that.
Yes.
But I'm gonna hear out Rachel and Mary's answer.
All right, Mary, Rachel, Nishan. Yeah, one at a time. What's the grossest?
I feel like the grossest item cards have to be like the most innocent ones. I think the plushie is the one that I don't like it. The Taylor's childhood plushie always gets me because we're teetering that line between like not okay at all. Yeah. It's gonna be the plushie for me.
Okay, for me it's the yellow rubber ducky.
Nice.
There isn't really a specific reason, it's just ugly and I hate ducks.
Yeah, Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's the fruit flavored lube, because every
Oh,
time I play with that card, I have to eat it. So it's always in my stories, some kind of energy bar, and I always ate it. Fruit flavored lube.
I forgot about that one. Oh.
Have you ever eaten fruit flavored lube accidentally or otherwise in life?
Is
Go-gurt.
Not really lube, but similar to lube texture.
Not sure what it was.
胶水. How do you say 胶水?
Glue.
Oh, glue, yeah.
Glue? Why are you eating glue?
Glue is made with rice.
Oh, shit, you're right. It's true.
Liquid rice.
All right, I guess we still have more time for this gripping interview. Oh no, that's good. All right, that's it. Yes.
Yay.
Wait. Do you have more questions? This is really fun. If you have, please throw it to us.
I'll put them in our Slack channel, but Dylan's gonna. Oh wait, now one more for her. Okay, all right? What was the worst piece of advice you received during the incubator?
Play the trailer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
It was a good trailer.
For those who don't know, the moment the trailer goes live, Richard said, "Can we not play this?" And Lucas said, "As EP, my advice is play the trailer."
All right, thanks y'all.
Okay. Goodbye, Luke. And now we are going to really quickly just say thank you to all the advisors, to everyone at the NYU Game Center. Thank you to the Bigglesworth Foundation for making Eat Melon possible. And we will now pass it off to AiliA, into the mirror world.
Hi, this is Looney,
Hi, this is Chen Wei.
and we are happy to show our game AiliA. So AiliA is a 3D perspective puzzle game where you use the refracted image in the mirror to alter the game world and solve the puzzle. As you can see in this strip, you play as a little girl named AiliA who gets lost in a mysterious world. She has no special power, but going into the mirror, work on the reflection, and interact with the reflected world. So what you need to do is to move or rotate the mirror to acquire proper reflections that will facilitate AiliA reaching the goal. In our plan, the game will have about 70 levels and 3 to 4 hours of gameplay. It is planned to launch by the end of 2021 and by the name of ISO Studio. AiliA originated from one of my class assignments. In that art class, I used camera render texture to fake a mirror and it looks so real. So real that it makes me wonder what if you can go inside the mirror world and interact with those reflections. It's impossible in real life, but it's possible in Unity. So I make a Unity prototype, implement it with this idea, and make 4 climate puzzles. Look like this on the right top. I show this to Chen-Wei, and we both think this mechanism to be interesting, since going into the mirror world feels so magical. And it's also deep, since there are so many ways you can manipulate the mirror to make the ever-changing reflection. So we decide to make it as our thesis project. Chen-Wei designed our protagonist, and we call her AiliA, which is a palindrome name representing the theme of the game, reflection. You can still see her first portrait sketch here on the left bottom. So she's a lonely girl who regards her own reflection in the mirror as her only friend. And you will discover a moving story about loneliness and about the friendship between her and her reflection as you progress in the game. We also use mirrors and papers for level design. And after about a year of development, we finally have a demo for thesis submission as well as the incubator. So is going to talk about the incubator story.
So during the incubator, a major change we had about the game is that we combine levels with the same mechanics into one big thing. The left side shows a level we had before the incubator. AiliA is chasing a globe in each level, and the levels are totally separated from each other. The transition between each level used to be a fade-out black screen. Now the transition has changed to a camera movement, so that the experience will be more consistent and the progress will feel more like we are telling a story through the levels. We've also changed the goal object. The thing AiliA is chasing after used to be this very default looking globe, which we as developers have no idea what that is. So we intended to give the globe an identity and make it have its own will so that it can guide AiliA through the world. After a few iterations and playtests, we ended up making the goal object a new character. We don't have a name for him yet, but in a playtest Thursday, Mary from the Nothing to See Here team started to call him the Onion Baby, and that became his name for now. We are gonna stick to this name until we came up with a new one. And here is a brief introduction to our future puzzles. We're now in the process of getting a publisher to work with us and start our own studio to release this game by the end of next year. We will update our progress through Twitter and newsletters, so please subscribe to our newsletters and follow us on Twitter if you're interested. We really achieved a lot during the summer with the help from everyone in the incubator. Up to next, we want to bring our EP Aaron to the stage to talk more about the game. Thank you. Hey.
Hello.
Hi, Aaron.
Hello. Sorry, I just need to move my. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Hello. Hello, everyone. Okay, let me close the stream.
Nice to see you again.
Yes. So hello again. Yes, I'm Aaron. I'm your EP. I worked with you all summer. I'd like to talk to you a little bit more and have the stream learn a bit more about your game and sort of what went on behind the scenes that you didn't really talk about in your presentation. So maybe I'd start with asking Rooney a little bit more about, how he thinks about the world of the game. And I know you spent a lot of time thinking about world building and what that means in a game like yours. So I'd like to just sort of have you speak a little bit more about that.
Oh, yeah, sure. So for me, because in the past, we are just building a set of puzzles. Yeah, it's only puzzle, nothing else. But, and then after Incubator, we decided to change our value that world building is more important. So, so we add a lot of things beyond puzzles during the world building. Yeah, for example, there can be places that there's no puzzle, but you just walk around, or it's some connection between puzzles. And and also the world, the world is there maybe for more engaging things, engaging experience, and for more exploratory experiment. Yeah, for example, there may be extra puzzle hidden in somewhere beyond the main objective that you need to explore to discover it. Yeah, and also in the environmental building, we add a lot of elements that make you feel the world is real. For example, in the second chapter, which the main theme is you are in a train station. So we put a lot of asset data such as the clock and the timetable. And by the way, there will also be a puzzle that built around the timetable. So yeah, so we make you to feel more like that you are in a train station, but not just somewhere with random puzzles for you to solve.
Yeah, could you actually talk a little bit more about that train station and timetable puzzle?
Oh, yeah, but I'm afraid that I will be a spoiler because that will be an interesting puzzle. Yeah, yeah. I will give you a hint that you need to adjust the time, but not as a normal way, but so that you can catch the train.
Okay, we're giving chat a little teaser trailer, little taste of the timetable. So actually, I'll shift over to asking Chen-Wei a question. So I know we spent a lot of time talking and thinking and learning about all of the things besides game design that actually goes into shipping a game.
Yeah.
Is there something that stands out to you that was sort of like most surprising or most interesting in that process?
Yeah, it definitely surprised me how much work beyond like production and design that's need to be done. The first thing I would say is probably marketing. It's really, it is a lot of work to do. So yeah, I try to like research on how other people do it so that I can learn to like do the same for our game. The most challenging part I would say is to like find those proper game to learn from, because most similar games we know are already out there. It's hard to like track back how they did everything during the production phase. For example, newsletters, how do we write those things? There's no way to check their newsletter history if the game is already launched. Yeah, so that is a big challenge for me. I guess the solution I found during Incubator is to like
dig into more indie games that's already kind of famous, because that proves that they are doing that right. And also following more newsletters from indie studios. They're writing newsletters not particularly for a game, but for the studio. Yeah, can learn from their style.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know we talked a lot about marketing and ways to sort of think about how you present your game to others, and we talked a lot about what it means to perhaps look for the kinds of people that perhaps are interested in your game. I think we have a lot in chat here. We got a lot of shouts, people that definitely want to play your game when it's done. So I know you have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I also wanted to, I also wanted to ask you a little bit about the things you learned about production skills and, how to manage your time, especially during, especially now, given, the global pandemic. We're working remotely. We had to learn a lot of things about how to work remotely with one another. Was there anything, any tips perhaps you could provide to everyone watching?
Yeah, definitely. That is time management is a huge part this summer, because we're remote. We're doing this remotely, so it's really easy to get distracted during the daytime, and we have to fix it at the nighttime. And also, since we're rookies in the indie world, so it's really easy to get too ambitious and overestimate our own ability to accomplish things. The way we both think that finding a comfortable and healthy schedule is important for us. We are still finding that balance during the incubator, but we worked out kind of a way to check in with each other about working hours. So there is a time when we are doing this retro, we listed out all the things we want to do and the things we don't want to do again. And Rooney listed out work overnight as something he want to discard forever. And we voted on the items that we agree with. And I remember three of us all voted for that one. And we voted by emoji. I remember that there's a pumpkin, there's a star, and there's a party popper. So we voted for that one. And then there is it looks really celebrating, because these items are celebrating items, but it also have a very sarcastic tone along with the word working overnight. Yeah, so I took a screenshot of the working overnight, a pumpkin, a star, and a party popper. And each time when I caught Rooney working overnight, I will send him that screenshot as a sticker, and he will send it to me if I'm working overnight. So that's a way to check in with each other whether we're working too much.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I never reply your message.
Well, maybe that wasn't probably the thing I was trying to teach you, but I'll leave it at that. I think this is a good place to stop. We gotta end the stream, unfortunately. But I just want to sort of end this with a big thank you. I know you worked super hard. I mean, obviously, if you're working super late hours, please don't do that anymore. As an EP, I'm not happy about that. But overall, besides that, you did a great job. So
thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing your game.
Yeah, thank you for the summer. You really helped us a lot. We're really lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sure.
you.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, bye, everyone.
Bye. Good luck. So now we're close to the end of the incubator showcase. Please stick around. We will have everyone back to the stage now.
That's it. We did it. That is the 2020 NYU Game Center Incubator. Thank you to all of the developers that are here that did this amazing work. They did all this remotely. They did all of this just fantastically. Obviously, you just all saw it. So please, if you enjoyed this, follow their social media accounts. They will be on the NYU Game Center channel. They'll be on their channel. Follow them on Discord and follow them on Twitch and Instagram and all the other places. Thank you so much to Logan up there in the booth. He's the person that was doing all this. Thank you to Tony over there. She was also doing it. Thank you to Gwenna, who's not in this this grid, but she was moderating the chat. Thank you again to Becca and Adam and Greg, Aaron and Luke for the EP interviews. Thank you all for watching the stream and for the stream height. And we really appreciate it. We look forward to your excellent reviews of these games, and we look forward to seeing you at future NYU Game Center events. And that's all for now. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody. See ya.